We're finally here. Let's start modding Hytale. Alrighty, we find ourselves for the first time in Hytale with how to make your first pack and add an item. This is going to be way more straightforward than you might think. It's actually not complicated at all. We're going to start with a new world. So we're going to create a new creative world, quite important. And here inside of the settings, just for my personal preference, I'm going to make a generated world right here. You don't have to, but that's going to be fine. I'm also going to pause the time just because that's a little bit easier. And we're going to call this the tutorial mod world. Awesome. I'm going to apply those settings. We're going to create the world and then we'll see each other inside. Quite a few things in Hytale can all be done via the asset editor. To get access to it, you want to up yourself. So inside of the chat /up self, and now you're up. Now you can go inside of the inventory to the creative tools at the top to assets, asset editor, and this is going to launch a new window. It's going to look kind of like this. And this is exactly what we need. Because via this asset editor, we're going to create our first item, and this is going to be absolutely amazing. So to create a new pack, very straightforward. We want to go to these three dots right here. We want to click the add pack button. And then here, this is the name of your pack. This is a unique identifier. It should be fairly long. In my case, I'm going to do KJ tutorial hack. How about that? Now the group is my name, which is Kaupenjoe. Awesome. Version 1.0.0 is fine. We don't need a website. That's okay. We don't necessarily need a description, but a pack to learn all about Hytale modding. Abso-freaking-lutely. And authors, of course, we will add over here Kaupenjoe as an author. Fantastic. We're going to save, and this is now going to create our custom pack within the world that we were just in. So in order to access this, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to exit out of the asset editor and I'm going to exit back to the main menu. And then we will go to our worlds. I'm going to right click onto our world that we've just created and I'm going to click on open folder. Now the reason I'm doing this is because now I'm inside of the saves folder, as you can see, of the tutorial mod world we've just created. And our custom pack, if we created the way that I've shown here, you can go into the mods folder and you can see Kaupenjoe.kj tutorial pack. So now our custom mod folder is right here. This is an extremely important component of everything that we're going to do. And before we go even into the game, here is the first lesson. So if we wanted to add custom textures for whatever we want, we have to create those right now manually inside of the folder. So before we go even back into the game, we're going to create that structure so that we have it. This is extremely important, so please pay close attention. The structure has to adhere the same way that the structure works inside of Hytale. So we're going to make a new folder and we're going to call it common with an uppercase C, and there we go. In our case, we just want to add a custom ore. Now the ore textures are within the resources. So what I'm going to create inside of the common folder is a new folder called resources. And then theoretically here, I can now have whatever structure I want, as long as I want to add a texture to a resource. So in my case, I'm going to add the sulfur_ore PNG. Both the folder structure as well as, of course, this pack is going to be available to download, linked in the description below. So you will basically have everything that you need in this case. Now this sulfur ore is going to be used in just a minute. First of all, we'll go back to the Kaupenjoe KJ tutorial pack folder, in this case, where our manifest JSON file is. And then we will re-enter the tutorial world. We'll also start the asset editor again. And now that it's started, here very importantly at the top left corner, we want to make sure that Kaupenjoe tutorial pack or your custom pack is selected. And now here to add an item, absolutely simple things. You simply want to click this little plus button over here. And now we want to select the asset type of item, because in this case, we want to add an item. Now here, a super cool feature, we can simply copy an asset that already exists. And this is the superpower that we need, because here we're simply going to choose an item from Hytale that already exists. In our case, we're going to do ore, and I'm going to use the ore adamantite right here. Now our custom one is going to be ore_sulfur. There you go. That's going to be our custom item. And with that done, you can also choose a folder, but we don't need to necessarily. In this case, we can simply create it. And then at the left over here, we can see under item, ore_sulfur has now been added. Now here, many things are going to be thrown your way. Right now, we're going to just focus on getting this item done. Theoretically, the item is already in game, but we want to get this done to, well, basically the fact that we have a custom texture. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to rendering, and then here under the item texture, we can now choose a different texture. So we're going to click on this. We're going to go here, and here, very importantly, we're going to change from Hytale to our custom pack. We go to resources. Sometimes you have to double click twice because the double clicking here doesn't work perfectly. Then we select the sulfur ore, and I'm going to select this, and there we go. The item model is going to be the normal or large. That we're just going to keep that. And finally, we're going to go to general. And right here, we have an empty field. That's because our icon right now is nothing. To change this, it's very straightforward. You want to click the pen right here, and then we can generate this particular icon. This is a generated icon that we'll also see inside of the inventory for our custom item. So we're going to click the save icon. We can now cancel, and now we can see this is how it would look like inside of the inventory. And we can even turn this around as this is a 3D model, which is pretty freaking neat. One last thing which is extremely important is the translation property. Right now you can see we're using the adamantite ore over here, which is not something we want. No, we want to change this to ore_sulfur.name. And that, of course, doesn't exist right now. And it's theoretically, the description over here, of course, we could do this. But in this case, I think we're just going to leave the description completely out of this. We don't need a description for sulfur, at least not in this instance. If you wish to change anything else, you could, of course, feasibly do so. For the time being, we're actually going to be okay with this. We're going to click the equip item button over here. And now inside of the game, I will have the sulfur added. Now you'll see inside of the inventory, it currently has a question mark. That is normal. In order for the icon to properly load, we will need to re-enter the world. But that's fine because if we take it into our hand or we throw it on the ground, you can see it already has the texture that we've basically given it, which is really freaking neat. Now, luckily, we need to go out of the world anyway in order to change the translation, so that's gonna be okay. So we're gonna quit to main menu, and then we'll tackle the translation first. Very important, the translation does not work in the asset editor currently, so we will need to go to server, and then inside of the server folder, we want to create a new folder, and this is very important, called languages. Now this has to be written exactly correctly. If you have any mistakes in here, you will run into issues. So this is server, languages. Inside of here, we'll make a new folder, en or lowercase -us, and then US all uppercase. It has to be, once again, written exactly like this, very importantly. And finally, inside of here, we will make a new text document, and we're going to call this server.lang or lang. If you don't have it enabled that you see whatever the type is, you can also simply make a new text file. So we're going to just make a new text document. You can open it up in Notepad, and then you can go to File, Save As, and then here, you will be able to change the file. So you'll simply go to all files and then do server.lang over here in this case. And that way, boom, boom. That way you can actually properly change it to a lang file. Now, how is this going to work? Well, the way that it works is it's going to be items dot and then whatever the name is that we've defined. So this is going to be ore_sulfur.name, and that is going to be equal to sulfur ore in this case. We're going to hit Control S to save this. And now this is saved, and this is now going to work. So we'll exit out of this one, and that's going to be fine. And now with this, we have everything set up. So we can go back to the game, we can go back into the world, and we'll find that everything freaking works. We got a sulfur ore right here. The icon works inside of the inventory, and also it is automatically added right here inside of the listing inside of the ores right here, because we've copied it from an already existing ore, so it will be automatically added to this particular tab in this case. Finally, if you want to share this particular pack with people, what you want to do is you want to go to the pack right here where your manifest.json file is, the server and the common folder. You want to select all of them and simply right-click drag them, 7-zip, and then you can add them to a zip file. If that does not exist for you, you can also simply right-click, show more options, and you should either have a 7-zip or within Windows, you can also use compress to, and then you want to choose the zip file. Very importantly, it has to be a zip file. If we then make a zip file out of this, we can now, for example, call this the KJ tutorial pack in this case. And here, very cool thing, this zip file you can now share with people and they can add it to their mods folder. Now, they want to not add it to their mods folder inside of the world. Instead, what they want to do is they want to take it, they want to go to app data, roaming, Hytale user data. You can get there by typing in %appdata%/Hytale. And now you will be inside of the Hytale folder. Here you can then go to user data, and inside of user data, you're going to go to the mods folder, and right here, you can simply paste in that zip file. And now this particular pack will be available in any world that you want. So I can go into my worlds, and a world that I've created 5 hours ago where this pack didn't exist yet, I can right click and you can see the KJ tutorial pack is now available for me to add into this world. And that's basically how easy it is. Do note that if you add the same pack right here in the mods folder and you also have it in one of your worlds, it might corrupt the one inside of the world, as the mods over here, if I understand correctly, take precedent. Just be aware that that is the case. And packs and zip files cannot be changed. They are going to be edit only. With that, we've created a custom pack and added a custom item. Subscribe for more Hytale modding tutorials just like this one. And until the next time. So, yeah.